Hello Dicers, my dream chasers. Welcome back to Dice Aside. So I'm going to talk about dimensions because I've been so fascinated about this topic recently, and I finally understood what it's all about. Because I heard about dimensions, years ago, but I couldn't properly conceptualize the higher ones. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. All of the different dimensions. So, are you ready? Strap yourselves in. It's gonna be quite the ride. So, we start off with with dimension 0. And what is dimension 0? You may ask. Well, it's just a point. It's just a point. Dimension 0 is nothing but a single point. How big is the point? It doesn't have a size. It's just a point. Like a point in my finger. I'm not pointing at a cell or even an atom. Just a point. Like sizeless point. So that's dimension 0. Now, how do we move up? The first dimension. So you make a second point. So 2 different dimension zeros, and then you draw a line between those points. And then you get the first dimension. If you connect 2 points, you get the first dimension. You have length, but there's no width, so it's just length. You just have a line, like a straight line. You can't move left, you can't move right, you can't move anywhere but straight, but forward and back on the line. Now, how do we move forward? Well, we introduce width. All right, so like a paper, just flat. That's second dimension. We reached the second dimension now, just flat, like the Earth. Planet Earth is flat, right? I'm just joking, don't worry. But yeah, that's the second dimension. You introduce width. So you can like move around with the line more. You're not just stuck in forward and back. You can also move left and right, and also diagonally, of course. And yeah, so flat. So that's 2. Now let's move to third dimension. That's what everyone is used to. I mean, I'm third dimensional. I'm dice. A cube is 3 dimensions. You have flat, you have width, you have height, a dice, basically. 3 dimensions. So, now, where do we go from 3 dimensions? You go to 4th dimension. I mean, I know how to count. But 4th dimension is... It's a bit strange. I mean, 4th dimension is time, but how did we get to time from, something physical? Well, you turn the 3rd dimension into a point. Compared to dimension 0, remember, it was just a point. Now turn the 3rd dimension into a point and make a second point. So say you have, 2 fingers. I have 2 3-dimensional fingers, and the way you introduce a 4th dimension is you draw a line between my 2 fingers. And what is that line? That's right, it's time, or space-time. And so you need time for the fingers to touch. For my one finger to get to the other one, you need time for that to happen. So that way 3-dimensional objects can interact with each other. Otherwise they would just be stuck in time and it wouldn't even mean anything. So you need the higher dimensions for existence to be possible. So, all right. So we've drawn a line between 2 3-dimensional objects or points. Now let's move higher up. Let's move to the 5th dimension. Okay, you guys ready? 5th dimension. What do you think is gonna happen? So it's exactly the same principle, but now The line we drew is time, right? So how do we make time flat? How do we compare it to the second dimension? So you make it flat by... So, okay, we have to imagine our normal day. You wake up, you eat breakfast, and all of these things are happening because of time. You're going in a straight line because of time. But how do you change the direction of a timeline? How do you go sideways? How do you explore the flatness of 5D? Well, decisions. It's not harder than that. You make a decision, and then you steer your timeline in a different direction. So I made the decision to make this video, and so I came here to the nice beach, Norwegian beach, and I'm making a video. And so that's what I did. I changed the direction of my timeline. Otherwise I would do something else. I wouldn't be here right now. So yeah, I moved in the fifth dimension. Now, well, should we go further? I guess so. What is the sixth dimension? Now that gets intense because we still have to compare it to, you know, the lower dimensions to make sense of this. So now we have to compare time to 3D. Sixth dimension. So I moved my timeline in a flat line. How do you make time into a cube? Now that's a deep question. But this is fairly inaccessible to us because it's such a high dimension. But you can still imagine it. So you would literally have to move your timeline up or down. And what exists above and below in terms of timelines? Well, other types of timelines. Just like if you stack a bunch of papers, you have, you know, a three-dimensional cube of papers. If you go up and down, you're going to different papers. So basically you're going to a different timeline, but that's where it gets weird because it's a different timeline of the whole universe. So it's like you have to imagine all the possible timelines a universe can have. And so then you have to imagine something like things that haven't happened. Things that are impossible to happen, but impossible in this timeline. So in a different timeline, maybe World War II had a different outcome. Maybe Adolf Hitler actually won the war. And I would probably be speaking the Deutsch right now. But I don't speak German right now because I'm not in that timeline. But it's just a thought experiment. That's what it means to move up or down a timeline. It's history turning out differently. And I've thought a bit about this, like what makes a timeline different? Isn't everything set? Wouldn't the Big Bang happen the same way because we have the same conditions? Well, I think this is where free will comes in. Everyone has a free will, whether you like to admit it or not. And so everyone's free will creates a butterfly effect and changes the outcome of the universe. I mean, even animals. So, yeah. And I'm sure it goes way deeper than that as well, but yeah. So that's the sixth dimension. Is this comprehensible yet? Every possible thing that could have happened in the universe is within, you know, if you imagine a cube. So make that into a point, every possible thing that could have happened, and you then make a line. And where are we going? Where's the line going now? Well, the line is going towards a different universe, with different laws of physics. Something that this universe couldn't have achieved, no matter how many times you ran this universe. If you had like a program of running the universe. With these laws of physics settings, the constant speed of the light and gravitational constants and all these things, if they're all different, that's a different sixth dimension. So by drawing a line between different universes, you get the seventh dimension. Now, let's go towards this different universe in a straight line. That's 7 dimensions. Well, now we're back at a line, just like our fourth dimension. So we can use the same concept and make it flat. So that means you can now steer the direction into which kind of laws of physics you want the universe to go to. And don't ask me, I have no idea how to do that, but it's just, yeah, that's how it makes sense. And so, okay, so, right, so that's 8th dimension. Making the timeline of universes flat is 8 dimensions. You can steer it any way you want. But now, how do we make it into 9D, the 9th dimension? Well, we'll make it into, we go make some height, make some, into a cube or whatever you want to visualize it as, but that means we can go into any possible, this is insane infinity, but like every possible universe that could have ever existed with any kind of possible laws of physics and all of these things. Anything you can imagine, basically. Like a million oranges just randomly raining down from the sky. If you can imagine it, it has already happened. If you can imagine something, it has already happened. That's what infinity means. So in the 9th dimension, you can access any kind of thing you can imagine. Basically, like, at will, you could go to that world where it's raining oranges and you can be like, nice, an orange. Tasty. And in that universe, maybe you can drop the universe and suddenly it's going up and it never comes back down. If you can imagine it, it's real and it's already happened an infinite amount of times. So you basically reach infinity with the 9th dimension, or, well, it's more the 10th dimension, but it gets a bit tricky because where do you go from infinity, which is basically the 9th dimension? But I guess you're not everything at once, so that's the only thing the 10th dimension can mean, that you're basically everything and nothing at the same time. Because nothing and everything is the same thing. Because to include everything, you have to include nothing. And so I think the 10th dimension and 0 is the same thing. And so you've gone full circle. It's a circle of dimensions. Did that make sense? I've just been fascinated about this and been thinking about this at night and I couldn't sleep and I'm like, dang. That means I've lived this life an infinite amount of times? And that means I've lived your life an infinite amount of times. And so have you. We've all lived each other's lives an infinite amount of times already. We just don't remember. Because when you're born with a clean slate. And that's the whole point, to re-experience the whole universe, re-experience the source, the creation. But I know people like to say, oh, God created the universe, and all of these things, but like, I don't think anyone created anything. That's what infinity means. It's always been here. That's what infinity is. It's just, yeah, just infinity. I mean, how else would you describe infinity than with the 9th dimension? Or 10th, I guess. But I don't think you can experience everything at the same time. Everything is basically nothing, like I said. So you need to be 1 dimension below to actually experience anything. Because it makes no sense. Because imagine having every single food taste in your mouth. What would you even taste? That would be tasteless. If you have everything, you have nothing. So yeah, the 9th dimension, that's a nice place to be. You can imagine it. You can be it. And yeah, but too bad we're stuck in 4D. I can't enter 9D unless I die, I guess. But it's fine, don't worry guys, I'm not suicidal. I chose this life. Some people think they're just randomly born here, but I know deep down that I did choose to live in this time and at this moment. But I also chose to live any other life. This is just where I am right now. So yeah, here we are. Here I am. Here you are. Here we all are. We're all stuck in 4D. But I don't mind. It's nice. I wouldn't want to have too much power because too many options. I just get indecisive. Why do you think my channel is called Dice Decides? Because I let a dice do my decisions a lot of the times. So yeah. Anyway, it's been long. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, it's just been something I've been fascinated about, and I just recently understood what it's all about, dimensions. And it's cool. It's cool to think about because it just makes sense. It doesn't feel like theory. It's like, that's reality. And everything that we consider finite is part of infinity. Infinity has to include finite. So yeah, that's a strange one. But do love talking about infinity. Anyway, that's it for this video. Remember to gently tap that like button and ring that bell so you don't miss an upload. Thanks for watching, Dicers. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next time.